Alright, my name is Parker Ovilla, and here is my vlog for COM 451. So, a recent issue that arose in my life was with my roommates and dirty dishes. So, I don't know about most people, but I like to keep the kitchen relatively clean. It's easier when you come back to cook again that the dishes are clean and ready to be used. You don't have to go and scrub all the dishes off and get all that nasty grime. All that's already been taken care of because you washed them right after you used them. So the problem that started was one of my roommates, he never does his dishes, like, ever. So we would go out to cook, and there would be dirty dishes. And the only thing more infuriating than washing your own dishes that are crusty and nasty, because, you neglect to do them or just forget about them for a couple days, is dealing with other people's dishes of food they cooked that you didn't even partake in eating. So that was one thing that annoyed me and a couple of my other roommates as well. So we decided, hey, we might as well confront them about it, and this is the way we went around it. So to understand the context of the situation, my roommate grew up with his parents just providing almost everything for him. He'd throw dishes in the sink, his mom would just do them, and magically there'd be dishes done and clean and put away in the cabinet for, the next use. And he never did dishes growing up. It was always either paper plates, throwing them right away, or his mom would do the dishes after, he went back up to his room. So he never understood the fact that he needed to do dishes and to clean up after himself. That was part of the problem, or him just being too lazy, and he was like, well, someone else will get it. It's not that big of a deal. So the first thing we did was try to extend grace to him, because we knew he wasn't, he grew up differently than the rest of us. The rest of us grew up, you washed your plate after dinner. Your parents didn't cater to you. And so we all came to college with, hey, we got to keep stuff clean, keep it looking nice. And, we gave him multiple reminders, like, hey, man, you mind hitting your dishes? They've been there for a couple days. Just here and there, tell him, hey, man, you want to get those dishes done? I want to have some friends over and cook tonight, and I don't want to have to wash your dishes before cooking and then washing my dishes. So overall, though, that didn't work. So there were a few failed attempts. And we would discuss that in several reminders. Be like, hey, man, hey, remind you to do your dishes. Any chance you can get those done before my friends get over here? But over time, me and my other roommate decided we needed to take a more direct approach of action and actually sit down with him and have a conversation with him about the issue with his, uncleanliness, so to speak, and unwillingness to do his dishes. So to start, we talked about the importance of accountability. He needed to stay accountable because it's a shared living space. We each have our own rooms, but the living room and kitchen, that's a common area. And we tried to highlight and talk about the responsibilities that each of us have on keeping things clean. I was like, hey, I'm out here cleaning my stuff up. I always make sure to wipe the stove down with a Clorox wipe, and wipe the area when I'm done. And I go, I just need you to start taking more accountability for your dishes and for the area you get dirty. So then I don't have to clean up before I decide to cook. And it adds an extra 20, 30 minutes of my time to make sure that I'm using clean dishes to cook. So that really didn't help. The accountability topic didn't really help. So me and my other roommate decided we had to start preparing for a tough conversation we were going to have. And the problem is we grew up in different cultures. So we tried to reiterate it multiple times in our textbook by McCormick and Morrison. It's called Reflect and Relate. And the quote I liked was, people unfamiliar with a particular culture's display of rules may be less accurate at understanding nonverbal communication among members of that culture. So one element of nonverbal communication is reiterating. So like I talked about earlier, we reiterated it multiple times. Hey, man, can you do your dishes? Can you get these done? And he still wasn't able to get them done or understand that he needed to take accountability and do his dishes. So that ended up, leading us to where we're at now with the tough conversation. So we were prepared for the tough conversation. We emphasized, we talked about it, and we were like, all right. So then we sat down with them. And so our strategy for the tough conversation going in was what I really liked. It was from a book called Difficult Conversations, How to Discuss What Matters Most. And this was written by Stone, Patton, and Heen. So they did 3 steps. So you followed the 3 steps. The number 1 is the what happened. It's the most difficult conversations involve disagreements about what happened or what should happen. In this case, the dishes not getting cleaned, and what should be happening is the dishes getting cleaned. Number 2 was the feelings conversation. Every difficult conversation also asks and answers questions about feelings. Are my feelings valid or appropriate? We both believed our feelings were valid and appropriate because our living space was disgusting, because there was dishes all over it all the time. And then lastly, number 3, the identity conversation. This is the conversation about what the situation means to us. So us, as in everybody that lives in the environment, it meant that, we need to keep it clean to keep, order, so to speak, and to make sure everything was going smoothly and we were having clean living areas, and that we wouldn't be embarrassed to have others over or have to spend an absurd amount of time doing dishes that aren't ours. So to conclude this, the key points we tried to focus on in our conversation with our roommate was to understand why he did what he did and wouldn't do dishes, which was his upbringing and different culture, so to speak, just how he was treated. We tried extending him grace and giving him multiple opportunities, which led to just failed attempts. And then we tried to talk to him about the importance of accountability, which kind of worked out, but didn't end how we liked it. And then we had to prepare for the tough conversation, which we talked about it and decided, we need to talk to him and confront him about this. Then we strategized for the tough conversation of what elements we were going to bring up and let him know what was going on and what we were thinking and ways we could, fix the issue and, give reminders and whatnot. And in the end, it all worked out. My roommate now takes accountability for his dishes. He didn't realize that it was such an issue that there were dirty dishes constantly in the sink. And he just thought it was fine, I'm going to cook something and then they'll just clean it before they cook it. It's not a big deal. Well, it kind of is. You got to make sure you're staying on top of your stuff. So now we have a clean kitchen and everybody's happy.